Everything I worked for, stolen by the one person.
From the moment I met Lydia, I felt an instant connection. She had this magnetic energy that drew people to her, and I was no exception. We met in college, in a crowded lecture hall, where a spilled coffee and a shared laugh cemented our friendship. Over the next few weeks, our bond grew. We shared secrets, dreams, and even fears that we wouldn't tell anyone else. She seemed trustworthy, always there when I needed a shoulder to lean on. I thought friendships like ours only existed in movies. Lydia was always generous with her time, listening to my endless rants and encouraging me to chase my dreams. I, in turn, supported her ambitions, helping her brainstorm ideas for her small business. Little did I know, behind her sparkling smile, Lydia was keeping a secret that would soon unravel my life. It started as little lies, things I didn't notice at first. But beneath the laughter and late-night talks, something darker was brewing. College was ending, and I was finally ready to pursue my lifelong dream, opening a small art studio. I had saved for years, painted countless pieces, and even won a small local award for my work. Lydia, ever enthusiastic, offered to help me launch it. She suggested handling the paperwork, finances, and marketing while I focused on creating my art. It seemed like the perfect plan. At first, everything went smoothly. Lydia's ideas were sharp, and her charm seemed to attract clients effortlessly. I trusted her completely, often staying late in the studio to perfect my pieces while she managed the back end. But I began noticing subtle changes, payments missing, client inquiries unanswered, and strange emails that she brushed off casually. I tried to shake off the unease, convincing myself that Lydia was just overwhelmed. I never imagined that she was planning to betray me in the most devastating way imaginable. The first real warning came when a major art commission slipped through our fingers. Lydia claimed the client had changed their mind, but when I called them personally, they revealed that Lydia had promised the project to another artist. I felt a cold wave of betrayal. I confronted her gently, hoping it was a misunderstanding. She laughed it off, saying, "It's business, nothing personal." That night, I sat in my empty studio, replaying every interaction we'd had. A sinking feeling settled in my stomach. I had trusted her completely, shared my deepest ambitions, and she had started taking advantage of that trust. I noticed small things too. Extra withdrawals from our shared business account, unapproved shipments of my artwork. My heart ached, but I was still naive. I still wanted to believe in the friend I once knew. It happened on a Thursday afternoon. I walked into the studio to find Lydia surrounded by boxes of my paintings, her phone in hand, arranging to sell them online. I froze. "What are you doing?" I demanded, my voice shaking. She smiled, that same smile I once trusted, and said, "I'm helping you reach a bigger audience." But deep down, I knew it was a lie. She had stolen my work, my dreams, and my future without a second thought. The next few days were a blur. I discovered that Lydia had sold some of my best pieces, kept the money, and even taken credit for my designs in local galleries. My anger was matched only by the heartbreak. How could someone I loved like a sister betray me so cruelly? I confronted her repeatedly, but she deflected, manipulated, and gaslighted me, painting herself as the victim. I realized that if I wanted justice, I had to take matters into my own hands. After the shock faded, I spent weeks trying to salvage what I could. Clients were confused, trust had been broken, and my reputation was at stake. I worked day and night, repainting, recreating, and documenting everything meticulously. Every brushstroke was a reminder of the betrayal, fueling a mix of anger and determination inside me. I couldn't let her win. In the quiet of my studio, I made a plan. I started documenting all her fraudulent activities, saving receipts, emails, and messages. I knew I couldn't confront her publicly without proof. It would backfire. Every day, my resolve grew stronger. Lydia had underestimated me. She thought my kindness and trust were weaknesses, but I was ready to turn the tables. The storm had passed, and now it was my time to rise. I began subtly. I reached out to galleries where Lydia had claimed my work as hers, presenting proof of ownership. Their reactions were immediate: shock, apologies, and sudden recognition of my talent. Slowly, word spread about Lydia's deception. She tried to play innocent, but the evidence was overwhelming. It was satisfying to see her charm fail where lies could no longer protect her. At the same time, I rebuilt my connections with clients, personally reaching out, offering discounts, and sharing the story behind each piece. People admired my courage, resilience, and authenticity. Lydia's network began to crumble as her lies were exposed one by one. I realized revenge wasn't about anger. It was about reclaiming my life and protecting what was rightfully mine. Finally, I decided it was time for the world to see the truth. I organized an exhibition showcasing my original work, each piece accompanied by the story of its creation and the betrayal behind it. Social media buzzed as the news spread. The artist stolen from by her own friend. Lydia was left with nowhere to hide. People who had once admired her started questioning her integrity. The exhibition was a turning point. Not only did it restore my reputation, but it also brought unexpected support. Fellow artists, clients, and strangers sent messages of encouragement, pledging to help me rebuild my business. For the first time since the betrayal, I felt a glimmer of hope. Lydia, however, remained bitter and cornered, realizing too late that her cruelty had backfired spectacularly. Months later, Lydia reached out, claiming remorse. I agreed to meet her, not for forgiveness, but to confront her one last time. Face to face, I remained calm, recounting the pain she had caused and the lengths I had gone to rebuild. Her smug confidence had disappeared, replaced by shame and unease. "I didn't think you'd come back stronger," she admitted. I nodded silently. Words were no longer necessary. The betrayal had shaped me, forged my resilience, and taught me a lesson I would never forget. Trust is precious, but self-respect is priceless. I left the meeting with a sense of closure, leaving Lydia with the consequences of her actions. With Lydia's betrayal behind me, I poured all my energy into my art studio. New commissions flowed in, collaborations with other artists flourished, and my reputation as a talented and honest artist solidified. Each day, I felt more confident, more in control, and more appreciative of those who truly supported me. The experience taught me to be cautious, but not cynical. I learned to protect my dreams while remaining compassionate. Every challenge had strengthened my resolve. I realized that betrayal, as painful as it is, can become a catalyst for growth. My studio wasn't just a place for art anymore. It was a testament to resilience, perseverance, and the triumph of integrity over deceit. One evening, months after rebuilding my life, I received a mysterious package at the studio. Inside were several old paintings I thought Lydia had destroyed, along with a letter. It read, "I underestimated you. You're stronger than I could ever imagine." Curiously, the package wasn't an apology, it was acknowledgement. Instead of anger, I felt a strange sense of satisfaction. Lydia had tried to break me, but she had only strengthened me. I hung the recovered paintings in my studio, not as trophies of revenge, but as reminders of how far I had come. Life had a way of shocking us, sometimes painfully, sometimes beautifully. And this time, the shock had worked in my favor. I had lost nothing permanently, except the illusion of who I thought Lydia was. Just as I began to feel completely secure in my newfound success, a strange pattern emerged. Some of my artworks that had been returned from Lydia's collection were subtly altered, tiny details that only someone intimately familiar with my style could notice. It was as if she was leaving breadcrumbs, daring me to notice. Curiosity mixed with unease, I realized Lydia's betrayal might not have ended. I started investigating quietly, retracing her actions from months prior. Every email, transaction, and meeting she had attended while pretending to be my friend was examined. Slowly, a horrifying truth revealed itself. Lydia had been collaborating with another art dealer behind the scenes, attempting to sell my work internationally without my knowledge. She wasn't finished. My anger surged, but I reminded myself that rash decisions could play into her hands. I needed a plan, this time, one that would completely dismantle her hidden network. Armed with evidence, I reached out to the international art dealer Lydia had been working with. I presented the undeniable proof of her manipulation, theft, and false claims. Their response was immediate. Contracts were canceled, and Lydia was blacklisted from major exhibitions. She had underestimated me again, believing that my kindness and naivety would prevent me from striking back. Meanwhile, I began sharing my story through social media and art blogs, highlighting the importance of integrity in the art world. The response was overwhelming. Not only did I regain my reputation, but I also inspired countless other artists who had faced betrayal. Lydia's empire of deceit began crumbling rapidly. Friends who had once supported her were distancing themselves, and her network had begun to fracture. This strategic revenge wasn't fueled by anger alone. It was precision, patience, and resilience combined. Months later, my studio had grown beyond my wildest dreams. Students sought mentorship, clients came from across the country, and exhibitions featured my work prominently. Yet, the most rewarding part wasn't the success, it was the peace I had earned. Lydia's betrayal, once a source of unbearable pain, had become the catalyst for my growth and empowerment. Unexpectedly, Lydia attempted one last outreach, this time begging for collaboration. I smiled and declined politely. My life no longer revolved around her deceit or the desire for vengeance. The final shock had been mine. Betrayal had taught me resilience, and betrayal had turned me into a stronger, wiser artist. The cruel friend who once stole everything from me had inadvertently sparked the best chapters of my life. I had lost nothing permanently except false trust, and in its place, I gained clarity, strength, and triumph.